Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to thank you for your willingness to serve. Second, I want to emphasize that you two are taking on two of the most important jobs in the United States government. The responsibility is awesome and incredibly important. In an age of terrorism, and we are not out of the age of terrorism, intelligence is the first line of defense. And if we don't know what's going to happen, it's going to be very difficult to prevent. So intelligence is incredibly important. I'm going to now ask a couple of questions that may sound topical, but my colleagues will testify that I've been asking these same questions for 5 years. Have nothing to do with who's president. The grave danger in intelligence is shading the data to meet the perceived policy needs of whoever's in charge. And this goes back as far as we can go. In fact, I would commend to you H.R. McMaster's book, Dereliction of Duty, the incredibly insightful account of what happened in Vietnam and the failure in many ways of communication to the higher echelons, to the policymakers. So, Admiral McGuire, one of your strongest qualifications may also be a disadvantage, and that is your long career in the military, where chain of command, following orders is an absolutely important part of the job. That's what you've been trained to do for 30-plus years. Assure me that you are not going to follow orders, that you are going to chase the intelligence where it leads, report it as it appears, and not shade any information because of pressure, and it may not even be overt pressure. Often it's human nature to want to give the boss what they want. So it doesn't have to be shade the material. You've got to work within your agency to counteract the human tendency to provide information that's pleasing to those higher up. Talk to me about that issue.
Well, Senator King, as I said, I don't need any reminder about the stakes that the nation is under. I've lost friends in this fight, and I realize that it's very real. I concur with your comment that although we've made tremendous strides in the last 17 years, we've still posed tremendous threats to the country. My job as the director, if confirmed, is to make sure that I provide truthful and accurate information. And if not, then the stakes could be we make a decision that is incorrect and it could cause harm to the nation and to our interests. In addition to that, to lead the workforce, if I have a workforce that has an opinion, for me to color or change that opinion before it goes up above my level to more senior people, I think I would completely lose the workforce. But most importantly, if I colored any judgment or provided any information to anybody that was not truthful and accurate, and something happened, then I also have to live with that. And I've been to Arlington National Cemetery and to other cemeteries around the country, and I realize that, I'm here to make sure that I do my darndest to defend the nation and to do what's right, and I intend to do that, sir.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and I look forward to working with you in that capacity.
Thank you, Senator King.
Ms. McCarthy, the same kind of question. A great quote from one of your predecessors, Mr. Ford, said, "The analysts at INR are a curmudgeon-like group who delight in being different and getting to the body of something and not caring what other people think." That was Carl Ford back in 2004. I'm not sure you're sufficiently curmudgeon-like. Assure me on that point.
Oh, I am curmudgeon-like. That's Senator, again, should I be confirmed, I think INR, that's their brand, is independent analysis. They have a long and very respected history of not being persuaded by those who may take on positions differently.
Many people feel in Iraq they got it better than anybody else.
I think the record shows that they did get it better than anyone else, and they went through the IC's processes to ensure that certainly that information was shared, and then it's up to the policymaker to determine what they're going to do with that.
One line, though, your last sentence of your opening statement, our intelligence activities must support our foreign policy and national security objectives. I hope you mean by providing good intelligence, not providing justification for objectives that somebody else has set.
Absolutely, sir. This is not to shade the intelligence to support our foreign policy objectives, but to provide our foreign policy decision makers with the truth.
Well, the other piece in your answers, and again, it's good news, bad news. You mentioned the proximity to the Secretary of State, that you use that term, proximity. That's good news. That means you're close to policymakers. The bad news is you could be subject to the kind of pressure, subtle, not necessarily overt, to shade the data. Give me your thoughts.
So, Senator, again, I think all of my predecessors have had that relationship with the Secretary and have had a history of not necessarily bending to political or positions that may not be in line with what the intelligence shows. So again, I believe that my access to the Secretary and policymakers is going to help me understand more about what their priorities are so that I can then work within INR and across the intelligence community to ensure that collections are then focused on these areas and that so that we can provide him or her with the truth. And so proximity is more about being able to guide collections than it is about providing them what they want to hear.
Well, I appreciate, again, both of you being willing to take on this job. If you're ever in doubt, the actions of Dan Coats last week are a demonstration of how these jobs should be done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.